Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this very special Publishers Without Borders session with a man who needs no introduction. We're delighted that Jürgen Boos, head of the Frankfurt Book Fair, has agreed to join us today to give us a heads up on what to expect at this year's book fair, which we all know will take place in person in October, which we're all very much looking forward to. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule, Jürgen, for joining us today, and welcome to this conversation with myself and Simon.
Hello, Jürgen. And hello, everybody out of PWB. Glad you're here as well, listening in and catching up the news about the Frankfurt Book Fair. A little bit of house sitting rules. Please feel free to ask your questions. And while you're at it, why not put your name and perhaps the country you're in so we can figure out who's where and who's with us today. That'd be really nice.
Oh, thank you very much, Emma, Simon, and to Publishers Without Borders. It's wonderful to see you again. It's this time of the year again, and finally we're all looking forward to an in-person event this October. So hopefully everybody's going to be in Frankfurt, and we have a lot to talk about.
Well, we certainly know from our WhatsApp group that there's a lot of us coming, so you'll see many of us there. Why don't you tell us how you're feeling about the fair, Jürgen, this year? Are you feeling excited? Are you feeling nervous? How do you feel?
Actually, Emma, I'm always nervous, as you know, and I'm always excited about the book fair. Yeah, it's 5 days in the year, and actually, I've been doing this now for 17 years. Yeah,
wow.
And every year has been different. And the past 2 years have been awful on top of that. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to this year's book fair.
You must have started when you were a very young boy, Jürgen.
Actually, to be very honest, and don't start calculating now, I've been on the book fair for 45 years. Now wow. You can think how old I am. So
not much
so
longer.
A toddler.
I was a toddler, actually, yes. My uncle was a bookseller, and he brought me to the book fair when I was very young.
Fantastic. Not much longer till you get your own personal cake then.
Hopefully, yeah, I have to tell the team, yeah. Lots of candles and my cake.
Exactly. Well, this year's motto is translate, transfer, transform, and is putting a spotlight on translation. How will this motto play out through the fair, and why did you choose this motto?
Yeah, we try to set a claim every year, and for this year, and actually I do believe for the years to come, I think we really have to focus on translations. Not on translations in a technical sense only, but we do believe there's a political sense to translations, yeah? If you would be able to listen to each other a lot more, if you would try to understand each other a lot more, then maybe we have not these very difficult political situations we are having right now. And on the other hand, it's also business driven, yeah? Without translations, we wouldn't have any rights business in Frankfurt. And this is the core of the Frankfurt Book Fair for hundreds of years.
Well, I think that makes complete sense. And I know many of us, certainly in our group, are looking forward to come in and presenting their titles to get them translated into as many languages as possible. So we look forward to seeing how that plays out throughout the fair and seeing the motto, which, as you say, is at the core of the business of what we do.
It's so true. And I have to say that as a publisher, I enjoy as much offering what we have in terms of publishing, but we're also always excited to see what's being published by other countries, other publishers around the world, and proudly show what's being done in our own language, coming in from Iran or Italy or Germany. Very important, very important. Above and beyond this motto for this year, there'll be certainly some highlights. Can you tell us about some of the particular highlights that you're all excited about and that you want us to know about this year at the Frankfurt Book Fair?
Yeah, I think we should first talk a bit about what it's in the offering for the trade community, yeah, for the publishing world. And I think it's very important that we are going to have again a 2 days format, which is called Publishing Perspectives Forum. Together with the magazine Publishing Perspectives, which is Wednesday and Thursday. We are focusing on children's publishing, obviously. Yeah, we're going to have an international conference there, and it's called Transform Diversity. This brings us back to translations, diversity, yeah, and what we experience right now. We are going to have a lot of panels on the Trade Visitor Days, which are from Wednesday to Friday. We're going to build the Frankfurt studio again, which we used last year to record, but this year it's open to the audience as well. So we are recording and have it in public. We're going to have the CEO talk like the years before. We have events by WIPO, World Intellectual Property Organization in Geneva. The Federation of European Publishers has a lot of events. Academic publishing, accessibility is an important topic for us. Sustainability is a huge topic as well. People like Charlie Redmayne, Peter Warwick, Nouria Kabuti are going to speak to us. Yeah, Jesus Badenes, Boudou Al-Qasimi, you know all these names. Yeah, it's a bit like showing off, name dropping, but everybody's going to be there in Frankfurt this year. So I'm excited about it.
I'll tell my friends I spoke to Jürgen. There's name dropping for you.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But so I want to go
stage.
back to some of these highlights, and perhaps you can give us a bit more. Like I'm a children's publisher, as you know, and so why would I want to go to this kids event? To this, you know, what exactly will I get out of it as a publisher, or as an author, or as an agent? What would be the reason I'd want to sit in and not miss that out?
I was talking to Peter Warwick from Scholastic recently, yeah, and actually also to the head of Meyer Ravensburg. That's a large German children's books publisher and cardboard games and everything. Yeah, it's quite huge, and they both have the same issues. And I think this is a challenge we have all over the world. What is political correct? Do we have some sort of self-censorship right now in children's publishing? Do we have to rename Pippi Langstrumpf? Yeah, all of these issues. What's happening with the indigenous population in children's books? Yeah, so there's a lot of challenges which could lead to sort of a self-censorship, if not even the state steps in. So this would be quite an interesting topic to see what's happening there.
Very, very interesting. And what about the publishing perspective sessions? What's that about? The forum? What am I going to get going there?
Actually, we have a lot of different topics, and topics you could expect from Frankfurt. We are still working on the books to film topic, which is getting bigger and bigger. Yeah, just to name Netflix and Amazon Prime, they are looking for content. Yeah, content to be reused as a series or as a film. And another topic, it's accessibility. I mentioned it before. Yeah. We are going to have events or Aldos as well, which are financed by the European community, but accessibility, it's a big topic. Libraries are a big topic. What's happened with open access and the library system? Yeah, what's happening with audiobooks? Yeah, so we're working closely with Spotify on that, and we're going to have a forum with Spotify in the publishing perspective area. So there's all these topics, as I mentioned them, are still important to us, and some are new or getting bigger, like the serialization issue. Yeah, so there's a lot of things we can talk about and listen to. And as you said before, it's good to see also how do other people deal with these issues, to learn from them or tell them not to do that. I've tried that before.
You know, it's interesting. And Jürgen, I don't know what to do because I'm a publisher and I go to Frankfurt because I need to sell rights and I need to buy rights. So I'm sitting at my table, and what you're doing is making it harder and harder for me to do my job, because what you're telling us today is it's so exciting that I don't want to sit at my table. I want to go to all these sessions and participate and hear. So I think I'm going to have to get part of my team to sit at the table so that I can join in on those conferences. I'll have to do that for 2023 for sure. Let's move on to the guest of honor. Spain is our guest of honor this year. And I want to take a moment to thank them as a Canadian for giving us the right to be there 2 years in a row. Canada was guest of honor. I think it's a first, probably, Jürgen, Canadian, a country being guest of honor 2 years in a row. But let's talk about Spain. What can we expect from this situation with our great Spaniards as guest of honor?
Yeah, actually, what you mentioned before, I think Spain was very instrumental in moving all the countries a bit forward. Yeah, so with Slovenia, with Italy to come. Yeah, without Spain, this wouldn't have been possible. Yeah, So thanks a lot to Spain, and thanks a lot to Canada actually being there 2 years in a row. Digital, semi-digital, hybrid. So a lot of things have happened, and I had the chance actually to talk to a lot of authors in the past few months, and they're excited. So the official delegation is more than 200 authors coming to Frankfurt. And
Wow.
what is quite nice that the royal couple is going to open the book fair, and at least the Germans are very excited about nobility. I don't know how this is in Canada. You just lost your head of state, didn't you?
Yeah, it's a complicated question. I'm not sure I want to get into that subject today.
Okay. No, but it's our president and the royal couple, and that's going to be quite an impressive opening. Yeah, and also with the authors, Antonio Munoz Molina. I still have to read all his books. I just read one. Now there's 3 to follow before that, and Irene Vallejo, the book which became a worldwide success. So, and this opening is going to be live streamed, so I really recommend to see this. But actually, it's all about the program. Yeah, I don't know whether you've heard about the pavilion, about the theory of cherries.
Tell us more.
Tell us more.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
That this is the design of the pavilion is following the theory of cherries. If you pick one cherry out of a basket, you usually get 2 or 3 of them. So the idea is actually to go to the pavilion, see something interesting, and then everything else is going to overwhelm you. What's going to happen? That's the idea behind the architecture, the programming, and I like the theory of the cherries.
All right. Another reason I won't be sitting at my table is that you're saying.
Yeah, you have to go visit the pavilion is what we're saying. So
yeah, but actually, that's a problem, for a lot of trade visitors. You never have the time to see the guest of honor pavilion. It took me years to find out that something like this existed when I was in STM publishing. I had other things to do.
My advice is to stay on to the Saturday and don't make any business appointments on the Saturday and wander around the guest of honor pavilion and take your time.
Absolutely.
Because you do need to give it time to go around the guest of honor pavilion to fully appreciate it and enjoy it. That's my tip.
You're right. And Jürgen, you're right. I wasn't, I never took time to go and see the pavilion, but because Canada was going to be guest of honor, we took the time, as president of Quebec Edition, I took the time to go and visit the ones prior to the Canadians to get a sense. And I was just amazed by what was being done there. And you're right. We should really take some time, take recess time and block out an hour of your time. It's worth it to go and see the pavilion. There's lots to discover about countries in a wonderful way.
Yeah, actually, I still do believe that everybody has its own book fair in its own rights. Yeah, so you have a trade fair, you have a festival, a cultural festival, but also if you go into the city of Frankfurt, especially on the weekend, there's a lot of programming happening. Yeah, which is in the clubs, everybody's actually focusing on the book fair and the authors, and a lot of Spanish authors in the city, in the Cervantes Institute as well. So, but you still have the nights, Simon. So you don't have to spend the nights at the stand. You can go out and meet people.
I'm getting a little old to stay up late, but I'm usually in bed by 9:30.
I don't believe you. And when I'm going to see you at the Frankfurter Hof, I'm going to remember you, remind you.
We will remind you, Simon. Were there any other content highlights you wanted to share with us, Jürgen? We've heard a lot already that's keeping us away from our tables, but are there any more you wanted to highlight?
As I said, there's a trade visitor program, which is quite important for the industry. Meeting the publishers from Spain, obviously, because there's never been such a huge delegation before in Frankfurt. It's in Hall 4.1, and they have another stage there. So it's in the Hall 4.1, and a strong presence in the children books area as well with Spain. And as I said, in the evenings, there's a lot of things are going to happen. Just check our website, And the book fair app is out now, so you can see who's going to be in Frankfurt, already. So you can check who's there.
Great.
You can set up matchmakings. So I think this is quite important. And for me, I'm just running around, seeing so many different people from all over the world, which I haven't seen in 3 years,
Exactly. I mean, speaking about all the people you haven't seen in 3 years, we've heard there's about 70 to 75% of pre-pandemic attendance at this year's fair. So who will we not see at the fair this year, do you think?
I think there's quite a small Chinese delegation, yeah, because there's a lot of issues traveling from and to China, especially going back, you have to go into quarantine. So there are very few Chinese publishers. Some of them were already based in Europe anyway. They are going to come. Few people from mainland China are going to come. And as you probably know, we decided very early not to have an official Russian stand, yeah, because of this aggressive war in Europe, yeah, in the middle of Europe, actually. And so we decided not to have to stand, but we are going to see some Russian exiled authors, and we're going to have a huge Ukrainian stand, which we supported, which we built together with the Goethe Institute, the German Cultural Institute, or the Ukrainian Book Institute. So there's going to be a big focus on Ukrainian publishers, authors, translators as well.
That's great to hear.
That's
that was
great.
going to be our next question. You know, how is the fair supporting the Ukrainian publishing industry this year? So it sounds like you've got a lot planned, and we should all make sure that we pay attention to the Ukrainian presence this year and go along and support them.
Yeah, I want to tell you, Jürgen, we had our General Assembly yesterday, and at the drink time, you know, after the session, a lot of the publishers were talking about Frankfurt and very excited about going back. You know, I think generally speaking, the whole world, and I think even the Chinese would love to come, but as you say, it's technically complicated. But I think we're all going to be very excited, and I think that 75% is going to be acting like 127% in terms of movement and action and energy. Yeah.
That's good to hear. Yeah, we are so excited about that. I didn't expect it. Yeah, I thought about maybe 50%, 55%. Yeah, hardcore focusing on Europe. And it's completely the other way around. Yeah, it's a lot of international people. It's actually more people who come from abroad than they would come from Middle Europe. Yeah.
Yes. Do you think that last year's decision to have a show, even though it was a lot more light in terms of, you know, spacing and all that, do you think that really had a good or positive impact to move people towards this year? Like sort of I
think it was quite important to have the smaller book fair, not to take place in a physical way 2 years in a row. I think it would have killed us. Yeah. And it would have damaged the industry as well. Yeah, we could survive for quite some while with our backlist, but a lot of things in our industry have to do with innovations, they have to do with diversity. We talked about this before. We have to get new ideas. We have to see how our colleagues are going to handle the paper crisis. Yeah, all these issues we need to talk about and find our own way out. Nobody's going to help us. Yeah, so it's and Frankfurt is a place where we can discuss all these topics, and the range is so wide. Yeah. From censorship to paper prices. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in our industry at the moment.
Yeah. So I want to go back to Canada for a second, Jürgen, before we get into the more technical questions about the fair and some of the, you know, some of the COVID issues and safety issues and all that. But I was telling Yelma, you know, as a Canadian publisher, we were a guest of honor last year. What happens to guests of honors the following year? Are they just like forgotten, or is there anything that's basically happening? Or what would you recommend to our Canadian publishers or those who, you know, were all excited about seeing Canada last year? What can be done? Because I guess that you want that momentum to continue as well.
We've done quite a lot of research on that topic, and we also have quite a few people, academics, have written their thesis on this topic. Yeah, the impact of a guest of honor in Frankfurt. I think the earliest one I have goes back to the 1970s, yeah, where people did some research on this topic. And actually, you have to understand that this is not an event, but a process. It usually takes us 3 to 4 years to prepare, yeah, and as you yourself, yeah, to get the translations in place, to build up a network. And we do see that it doesn't have an impact like 7 years after the book fair, still after the event. Really? So 3 years before, and then we do look at the statistics so we can see the translation staying up and then slowly going down again. Yeah, from the guest of honor into other languages.
That's true.
And we also see a little delay because a lot of it gets translated into German, and a lot of other publishers look into the German market what's going to be a success here that they're going to buy it the next year.
Right.
Yeah, to see whether this could work out in Spanish or French or whatever.
That's perfect.
As well. Yeah. So actually be present. Yeah.
Well, we'll be
party
there.
a lot, meet a lot of people. That's so important. Be visible. Yeah, be visible. Use this energy. We have some countries who still use their logos. Yeah. I think India was like more than 12 years ago and they're still using the logo. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's very important. And also if you have an institution, yeah, like the Norwegians or the Finnish, have a National Book Institute, have an organization which you set up to organize the guest of honor, and it should function still, yeah? This is very important. I think with Caroline Fortin, you still have somebody who has quite a network and is going to drive this moment, yeah? And she's very present. I think you need people as spokespersons who are always visible.
You make a very good point there as well, Jürgen, about being present. Some advice that I always give anyone that's attending for the first time is expect the unexpected. You may be in the queue for a coffee, you may be at a party, or you may be talking to someone else on their stand, and you never know who you're going to meet and who you're going to bump into and where that conversation might lead to as well. So,
indeed, I have no time now, but I got lots of books that came out of conversations just like that. So you're right. Keep your eyes and your ears peeled open.
And talk to everyone.
Talk to everyone.
Yeah. There's this one Norwegian author who's written a very nice novel on that moment, yeah. When he thought he had his first books out in Norway and he was quite successful, and then his publisher sent him to Frankfurt. And he said, oh, I was going there and I thought it's all about me. Yeah. And then he realized that he's one of 200,000 people in the publishing community. And to understand that it's not only me, but actually that we are a group of people who all have the same objective, yeah? Excellent. To get the novels read, yeah?
And we may speak different languages, but we all speak the language of publishing.
Yeah, and again, I really admire you for setting up this Publisher Without Borders, yeah? It should have been there years ago. But maybe that's a result of the pandemic, actually. Yeah, the only one positive result.
Yeah, well, thinking outside the box, I think, was sort of an obligatory thing with the pandemic, and I think you, Frankfurt Book Fair, and us as publishers, we sat down and sort of said, okay, we're not going to bury our head in the sand and just pretend that it's not happening, but what can we do to make things better while we're going through this horrible situation? So, speaking of horrible situation and the pandemic, what are some of the let's go down to sort of the more nitty gritty, sort of, going to the fair. What are some of the things that have, changed in your program or in your planning because of the pandemic that we should know about? Some of these people have not been back. I was there last year and so was Emma, but a lot of people are coming back for the first time. And so what are they to expect that won't be there or that has changed based on this situation?
No, we did learn a lot throughout the pandemic, yeah, that it's not all about to do everything, but to focus a lot more. There's this famous German designer, which is called Dieter Rams. He did the Brown design. I don't know, you might know him. He always said less is more. And that's what I learned throughout the pandemic. The first year, we tried to cover everything digital, yeah. And actually, we found out that people only attend these digital meetings if you have a very famous name. So the long tail of the authors or the topics are not getting covered. So in a digital world, you have to focus a lot more. And I understood that we have to do it on the fairground as well. So we are going to cover the big topics, as I mentioned them before, that the audiobook side, the focus on translations, yeah. And a few of these things which we covered before, we are not going to do anymore, since you can't leave your table anyway, yeah. And if you go out, it has to be useful, yeah. It has to be worthwhile for you as a publisher, yeah, or as an agent or whatever. So we think a lot more about the value we bring to the community. And that's, I think, one of the big learnings. And also we understood, especially in a digital environment, we used to stream everything. Now we're going to record things, yeah, and put them in our media resource, yeah? So it's it's a process. We understand that now. And we also understood that it's more important to create occasions where we can meet. And I think we need to be more present throughout the year as well. So we are lucky that we, as a book fair, are not for profit to promote German literature, so we can travel a lot throughout the world. Yeah, you created this moment through Publishers Without Borders, meeting virtually. I think we have to stay a lot more connected than before, and we have to think of the quality of these meetings.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of learnings actually coming out of that. And for my team, it was quite difficult because we had a very difficult financial situation throughout these 2 years not taking place. Yeah, so we got supported by the state, but still we went through a massive restructuring. Yeah. So I really can only tell, I admire my team. It's half the size it used to be, and they do a lot more than they did before. Yeah, so it's been very tough. Yeah. So focus has been very important, and on the other hand, the passion the team has here and the passion we do have in our industry is so important.
Well, you're all doing a terrific job, so thank you for being so resilient over the last couple of years, and for staying with this, and the team, we're looking forward to seeing them all in person in October.
You've convinced me to, get off my chair and walk around and perhaps go to certain events, but perhaps you can tell us about, the whole question of the COVID, and what's it called? The whole question of distancing and mask wearing and all of those issues. What's the basic rules right now in Frankfurt and perhaps at the fair, because it may be different, public transport within the fair. What are going to be some of the rules that we need to expect?
Actually, you don't have to expect anything from this point of time. At this point of time, I just got back from a meeting with the health authorities once more. So there are no restrictions to date, in place in Germany at all. You have to wear face masks and train, obviously, in public transport. Lufthansa is going to lift this by the end of September. So on the airline, you don't have to do that anymore. But actually, we have our own health regulations. So we are going to use wider aisles. We're putting a lot more air into the halls, but there's no limit to how many people can visit. You don't have to wear any masks. But again, we are taking a lot of initiatives from our side, whatever we can do to protect people.
Yeah. There was actually a comment in the chat where, and I do remember that the first day last year, because of the question of having to show our vaccine, that we were all COVID free, that sort of like created a what do you call it? A bottleneck. So how's that going to be? Have you looked at that so that we're not, telling our friends that, sorry, we missed the 8:30 meeting because there was a big lineup? How's that going to be?
Actually, it shouldn't be an issue anymore. So invested in more in this process, actually, yeah. And on the other hand, you don't have to show this vaccine anymore. The only thing is you have to pay by credit card if you want to buy your ticket.
Okay.
Yeah. So don't bring cash, bring your card.
If you have cash, you can come and see me. But
okay.
What can we purchase from you, Simon? That's what we want to know.
Books. And actually, I sometimes bring gluten-free cookies, but I usually give those free.
That's true. So the situation's the same, Jürgen, for hotels and restaurants. So no showing vaccine certificates or anything like that.
There's no limitations right now. Yeah.
Great.
It might change. We don't expect it to change, and nobody in the government and the health authorities is expecting a change right now.
Exactly.
But there might be a volcano in Iceland erupting. So, and as you know, this is somehow related. Iceland and Frankfurt and volcanoes, and London, obviously, as well.
I was going to say, as a previous book fair organizer, the motto is expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
Another question that's come up that also gets down into the nitty gritty is around the transport. And we know that we've benefited, thankfully, from the transport pass over the last few years, which we know doesn't come included in the exhibitor pass this year. Do we know if there are any other transport concessions as the wider German public transport system had over the summer?
Yeah, we couldn't offer this one again because the city of Frankfurt didn't support us this year. Usually we have some support for the U-Bahn and the tram, but you're just seeing it, yeah, that we have special deals with the train system and with Lufthansa as well. You'll find it on our homepage. So to get to Frankfurt will be easier, but to get around, you probably have to take one of the bikes which are available in Frankfurt.
Let's hope for nice weather, and we'll all be cycling and running everywhere.
Yeah. Actually, we're planning, Emma, I don't know, maybe you want to join us. We're planning our agents to run again on this Sunday before the book fair. So you have to come in early, and we're running a 5K like we did before the pandemic. And I'm always the last one, so don't worry.
I think that's a fantastic way to kick off the fair. I have to say,
we'll make sure to mention that on our website.
I know that that's come up in our chat or WhatsApp group already, actually. So I know that you will have some keen participants.
Yeah.
Actually, we tried. I think we should send out the information in the next 2 weeks. So, and it's still our former colleague Ricky Stark from the New York office is supporting us there, and Jenny is working on that. No, Prashant, I don't believe that.
So I was going to say about the transport, Jürgen, and I want to make sure that everybody hears this because we had some reactions on our sites about the fact that why isn't it free, and it should, and I want to remind everybody that this was actually like a gift. You're one of the only places in the world that I know where we had free transport for that many years, and so we shouldn't consider it as a given, but as a gift. And it was very generous of your city to offer us this for so many years. And we know that everybody's going through economic hardship right now, and we can understand that. So I think we can all afford to pay a few euros to take the public transport or a bike or walk. I mean, that's fair.
But we're working on that. I really would love to bring that back, at least for the trade visitors, because this was a very important instrument to us. And we'll see. We might have a new mayor in a few weeks. So,
okay, perfect. We had a question coming in from I think somebody out of Hong Kong or Asia, and they were wondering, and I think we might have mentioned it, but clarifying it will help them. They can't come for technical and sanitary reasons. Will they be able to participate in live events, or will they only be recorded, as you say, and then made available on your site?
A few events will be streamed, the most important ones, so you can really attend them digitally live. And we will have a lot of events which we obviously also, because of the time difference, so it makes no sense to watch the opening in the middle of the night. So actually a lot of events are going to be recorded, and especially what we're doing in the trade sessions. And the Frankfurt studio, everything will be recorded as well and put into our media resources.
Perfect. All right.
That's fantastic. Thank you for making that available to everyone, so that even if you can't come, you can still participate in some shape or form. And hopefully we can welcome our Asian guests back next year.
Let's hope so, yeah.
I've touched on this already a little bit, Jürgen, but is there any other advice that you would give to newcomers who are coming to the fair for the first time?
I don't know whether I'm still allowed to say that, but bring enough cigarettes, Cigarettes are quite important. Expensive in Germany. And everybody starts smoking. Also on my team here, a lot of people start smoking during the fair and then give it up again and wait for another 12 months. So bring enough cigarettes, wear comfortable shoes, have some water with you, make the appointments beforehand. Don't go there and think I'm going to meet people. Leave some time for unexpected, as Emma was saying. Maybe a third of your time you should be free to, because you're going to stumble into people, you see events you'd never thought of. So have enough spare time, Simon, to you as well. Don't spend every single second on your stand. Walk around.
Yeah. You mentioned the matchmaking actually, Jürgen, and that's something we haven't touched on in the last half an hour. And I wonder if one of your colleagues could put a link to the matchmaking service in the chat for everyone, because I think you can register yourself and say what you're interested in doing, and you'll be discoverable then by people that are looking for people to meet and meet up with.
Especially if you're new and I mean, if you don't have a list of people you want to contact, I think this is really key to start your journey into Frankfurt. And as you say, do it now. Don't wait the day before, because
yeah, and as I said before, the app is now available. So download the app and you'll find all the names, the exhibitors, and the matchmaking functionality as well. You can start from immediately making contacts.
All right.
And that's now posted in the chat. So thank you, team, for doing that. I'm going to end on one final question before we open up to further questions from the audience. But Jürgen, what are you personally looking forward to about the fair this year?
That's a good question. I think the most important thing that we're going to have a wonderful fair, and I will be very relaxed when the fair is over. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to November on the one hand. On the other hand, I'm looking forward to meet so many of my friends which I haven't seen. I just had an email from New Zealand from a friend I haven't seen in years. Yeah, and he's coming, and it's always the people behind the books. It's meeting the authors, it's meeting friends from all over the world, it's getting new ideas. So this is very, very important to me.
Terrific. Yeah, you're right. I always tell my team that it's about humans. It's not about the books. It's about the humans.
Yeah, it's about the people, really. It's about the people. This is a nice thing in our industry. And when I'm talking to engineers, other industries, it's a completely different. They talk about the product. We talk about people and with people.
Yeah, we certainly do.
I think you've been invited to Guadalajara, so you might be busy in November.
There's no rest. Book fair season begins.
No, it's all over. I want to go to Istanbul this year. I haven't seen a lot of Turkish people. It's more difficult to travel right now. Visa issues. Yeah, it's political difficult times, and so I can travel a lot. That's thanks to my passport. Yeah, so I have to go to many places to meet people and talk to them, get ideas.
Terrific.
Do we have any other questions from our audience that you'd like to post in the chat to ask Jürgen? We've got some really useful links here, which I think we're going to be able to share on Publishers Without Borders Facebook page after this as well.
And on the LinkedIn and on PWB's WhatsApp. I don't know if you know, Jürgen, but there's about 190 to 200 people who are on the WhatsApp PWB at Frankfurt. And that's where a lot of the conversation about what do I do, how does this work and all that. So we're going to make sure to post all of that information, that valid and valuable information you've given us. I really appreciate it. I've been going for a long time, Jürgen, and every time I hear you, I learn more and more about this fair, which just goes to show there is so much to see, so much to do at Frankfurt. Maybe one day I'll have time to actually walk around and see all these things and do all the forums. And so
we do have one question that's come up in the chat about whether you're aware, Jürgen, about the inflationary pressures that are being faced and what that means for costs in the fair. I assume that means things like food and drink, etc.
Yeah, actually, we were quite lucky this year that we had some support from the German government. So actually, the square meter prices we didn't have to rise. Also, we have close to 10% inflation here in Germany. I don't know about the currywurst right now, about the sausage prices, but I find out about that and will post that as well. I haven't seen the sausage pricing by now. I'm very sorry about that.
After the stock exchange, we can have the sausage price,
Yeah. But actually right now, it's still quite stable here in Europe. Butter is getting but I don't think you need a lot of butter during the book fair.
Not with the sausage.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that. No, it's really an issue. But for some of our customers, actually, it's getting 10% cheaper because of the exchange rate. Yeah,
right.
Which changed from US dollar to euro. It was above 10%.
So somebody jokingly said that they'll probably make the sausage 10% smaller, which is pretty much what they do now, right? The chocolate bars changes, you know, the cereal box changes the size. Yeah, so.
There's a question come up about the business club. Are you running the business club this year?
No, we are not having the business club anymore. The location we are now using for the Frankfurt studio, where we have a stage, and people can also use it to meet other people.
Fantastic. Thank you for that.
All right.
Any other questions?
No.
But you can always get back to me, myself, or the team, if you have further questions. And Emma is such an experienced book fair person; she can answer all the questions.
I think I've just worked out. I think it's my 20th Frankfurt Book Fair this year.
Yeah.
Not having missed one apart from the year it didn't happen. So we know a lot about the Frankfurt Book Fair, and I think you've shared some really valuable insights during this session as well, Jürgen. And we know you're extremely busy, so thank you so much for taking the time to sit and talk with myself and Simon and talk to the PWB audience as well.
Right.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you so kindly.
Thank you so much, Emma. Thank you so much, Simon. It's been a pleasure talking to you and your community.
Thank you.
All the best. Have a safe trip to Frankfurt.
See you in a couple of weeks.
See you. Bye then. Ciao.
Cheers.
Ciao. Bye.
That was great.